and bloody months of the Afghan war, John McCain, who might have been our president, declared victory. He declared victory last week because he had extended the life of Don't Ask, Don't Tell a little bit longer. Well, on behalf of the Human Rights Campaign, I am here to tell you that we will not be defeated on this issue. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid has committed to bring this bill up again after the elections, and we will do everything in our power to get that done. Now, in the meantime, we have asked Attorney General Eric Holder not to appeal a recent ruling that found Don't Ask, Don't Tell to be unconstitutional. In fact, we continue to do everything we can to compel this administration to stop defending things that they don't believe in. We are fighting this battle not because we like to pick fights with John McCain and his cohort. We are fighting this battle not because we have some coercive social agenda for our country. We are fighting this battle because we are deeply grounded in the American ideal of truth and justice and equality. And quitting for us, for HRC, and for this community is not an option. We are not victims. We are not complainers. We are the people who find a way over or around or through the obstacles that stand in our way. Letting our opponents win for intolerance is not an option. They will not write our history. And we will not let this minor setback be a major loss. Now, I have had the privilege of leading the HRC for the past 5 years. And with your help, with the help of a lot of the people in this room, we have achieved some historic milestones. But every victory that we have achieved has, like the current journey that we are on to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell, been marked by some really crappy setbacks. But we won. I realize I've been pissed off and crappy. I feel very unlucky after that. But we won. We won because we understood that ultimately we would be defined as a people and as a community by how we reacted to those setbacks and those hurdles that were placed in front of us. We passed the Matthew Shepard Hate Crimes Act. All of us in this room did. We are collectively responsible for that victory and for bringing justice in the name of Matthew Shepard. But we had setbacks along the way in that fight as well. Now, some were foolish and dispiriting, like the Congresswoman from North Carolina who went to the floor of the House and argued that Matthew Shepard's murder was a hoax, that it was a drug deal gone bad. She tried to raise questions. She tried to raise doubt. But truth and justice prevailed that day. And yet, you know where we came perilously close to failure that night? In the Senate, where John McCain once again used every procedural trick that he could to derail that fight. Everything we've achieved in the past 2 years has been hard, and it shouldn't be. But it probably will be a little bit longer. And yet, in addition to passing the hate crimes bill, the first legislation in history that specifically protects LGBT people, we have done so much more. For the first time, the federal workforce protects transgender workers from discrimination. After 20 years, HIV-positive travelers are no longer banned from coming into this country. I am personally happy to say that marriage equality has finally come to the nation's capital. And over 11 million workers are now covered by fully inclusive non-discrimination policies. And HRC will release its Corporate Equality Index next week, and a new record will be set in terms of the number of companies who are creating a workplace that is welcoming, and equitable and respectful of its LGBT workers. And many of those companies are here tonight, and I want to thank you for your leadership. And soon, thanks to the heroism of Janice Langben, who we honor tonight, hospitals receiving federal funds will be required to respect our families and prohibit discrimination against their LGBT rights. In the courts, we have seen victories as well. In California, a judge overturned Proposition 8, calling it what we have always known is the unconstitutional. And yet, when I think about the courts, I am reminded again, as Senator Murray said, of how important elections are. Now, a lot of people have said to me recently, let's let the Supreme Court do the job now. I mean, they'll ultimately rule in favor of marriage, and that'll be it, right? Well, even if we are that complacent, those decisions are ultimately going to come down to the justices who issue them. Justice Kennedy, the swing voter who wrote the Lawrence decision, is 74. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is 77. So elections and our involvement in them are also about protecting that court. Because if you're going to put all your eggs in that basket, you better trust the person who is building that basket. So here's what I know. What is difficult in the Obama era was impossible in the Bush era. And would be impossible in the Palin era, the Romney era, the Huckabee era. Impossible in the Mitch McConnell era, which is why we must re-elect Senator Patty Murray. But if you're in this room tonight, you know that. And if you're in this room tonight, it means that you are standing by the Human Rights Campaign and you are committed to the fight for justice and equality. If you are in this room tonight, you understand that sweeping social change, permanent and sustained social change, will never come easily and it will always be difficult. But if you are in this room tonight, you know to your core that you have a responsibility to be a part of that change, in fact, to be a force for that change. So between now and November 2nd, do everything you can to keep us on that path to equality. You owe it to your community, you owe it to your country, but ultimately, you owe it to yourself. Thank you all very much.